week's edition of Engineering and You. In case you're just joining us for the very first time on this program, we try to stir up the passion in the minds of young Nigerians, teenagers, undergraduates, secondary school leavers to study engineering. We want to make them understand that science, technology, engineering, and mathematics is the way to go if we want to see a better Nigeria in the near future. My name is Tunde Olaniran, your regular anchor on this week's edition, on the edition of the program. And you know, this program is a very, very interactive one. We get to talk to you, and you get to talk to us as well on various social media platforms and via phone call. And last week we had a question for the week, and we have a winner who answered our question on Facebook. His name is Sunday Adetono. Sunday Adetono, I know you're watching. Please contact us by calling 0703 1611 497. 0703 1611 497. Call that number and you get your gift. That gift is courtesy Engineer Prince Yemisi Shilon, FNSC, and you'll get your gift. For today, our question for the day is, what is the product of force and velocity? What is the product of force and velocity? If you know the answer, just put a call through to us on the phone lines that will be showing on your screen very soon. And if you're on Facebook, you can make a comment and we will see it at Ogtv and on YouTube at Ogtv Abeokuta. We'll take this very short break, and when we return, my guest is already in the house and we'll be discussing a very interesting topic. Stay tuned. Welcome back. My guest for today is Engineer Dr. ABDULWASI OLABAMIJI AJAGBE, MNSC. He was born in the city of Ibadan in the early 70s and had his primary school education at Army Children Primary School, Mokola, Ibadan, and secondary school at Polytechnic High School, Ijokodo, Ibadan. He went ahead to obtain National Diploma and Higher National Diploma from the Polytechnic of Ibadan, and BSc, MSc, and PhD from the Premier University, University of Ibadan, all in civil engineering. He is a lecturer. He joined the University of Ibadan as a lecturer on June 12, 2006 as lecturer 2, and has been teaching there till date. He is at the moment an associate professor. He is the chairman of the Premier branch of NSC, 2019 till 2021, and is currently the chairman Nigerian Institute of Environmental Engineering, Oyo State chapter. His profile is very, very voluminous. I wish I could take it, but because of time. Well, join me as I welcome Engineer Dr. ABDULWASI AJAGBE. Welcome to Engineering and You.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to be here.
Now, I would like to put you on the spot. I've heard so many things about civil engineering. That's what you studied from ND to HND, BSc, MSc, PhD. Why weren't you bored?
Oh, of course not. I mean, if there's anything, in fact, I must tell you that studying is still a progressive thing. I'm still studying more about civil engineering, so I can't be bored. There are lots of transformation, new developments, and then, advent of new technology demands that you keep on learning. It only takes an engineer, let me say, a year or 1.5 years not to have anything to do with the engineering, and then you lose the skill. When it's back, it's no longer there. So it has to be a continuous thing. You master the game very well.
What aspect of civil engineering are you specialized in?
Structures and materials engineering, specifically. And then I'm also into environment.
So if I may ask, why did you choose that of all the specialties in civil engineering?
Well, I was trained as a civil engineer, and then as civil engineer, structures, highway and transportation, water and environmental engineering, they are all major aspects of civil engineering. But of course, right from my days as a student, I've been privileged to work with
But you said something about being mathematical. Can you expatiate?
Well, basically, mathematics is the foundation for any engineering course. But of course, when you talk about structural engineering, it involves analysis and design of structures in the various forms. And when you talk about analysis, it's highly mathematical. You talk about design too, it's highly mathematical. So it's the foundation of it. If you are not good in mathematics, very good in mathematics, you might not be a successful structural engineer.
All right. Having said that, how does civil engineering, how does it affect our livelihood? Because it's beyond just doing calculations on paper, drawings on paper. How does it affect us day to day?
As an engineering option, engineering basically is the application of sciences for the betterment of mankind. And when scientists studies a particular law of nature and they come up with a theory, the engineers come around and then package it for practical application. So when you talk about civil engineering, we are here, under a roof, well protected. All these equipment, imagine without cover, you need a shelter for them. And when you talk about civil engineering, we talk about mobility of man, moving from one point to the other, that's in the highway. And then they say water is life. Provision of potable water is still civil engineering. And then when you use this water...
Okay, I don't understand that. Because on this program, we had brought in someone who is a water resource engineer.
Yeah.
Now, how is civil engineering related to that?
Basically, engineering started as military engineering. And then you now have... Now, when you talk about civil, like I said, it's an umbrella of different options. I mentioned at the course of introduction that when you talk about civil engineering, students that goes to study civil engineering will be exposed to these basic options. Basically, you have structural engineering as one arm. You have highway and transportation as another arm. Then you have water and environment as another arm. Majorly, those basic three foundational options are synonymous with civil engineering. And so when you now look at all these areas, well, I don't need to say much about their importance to our livelihood as a man, on the surface of the earth. Just think about it, and then remove civil engineering. I wonder what is left to be called life. Shelter, water is life. We are also particular. Then even when the water is used, it becomes a wastewater. How do you treat it? Treating waste and all that is still an aspect of civil engineering. Those are the foundational options. You now have emerging options now that,
What are the emerging options?
For example, you have, aside from those three, you have geotechnical engineering. Before it used to be part of structures, but now is on its own as an option. Then you have, even you have some part of architecture, now being, crossing paths with civil engineering, because the present day engineering has been upgraded to interdisciplinary in nature. You have some softwares that allows engineers in the built environment to work together simultaneously. The structural engineer, the mechanical engineer, the architect, the electrical engineer working on the building structures can actually work together on the same station simultaneously. You have such a software, and then these are some of the new development that we are, seeing at the moment. When you talk about the advent of artificial intelligence, we are talking about smart buildings. For example, I was to enter this structure, and then the door opened itself. You want to enter a room, the light comes on its own. When you are leaving, it shuts, maximizing and optimizing uses of energy and all that. These are the new developments that wasn't there before. So as somebody wants to be in that field, will have to go, a step further to put into consideration to learn some of these things that make
21st century civil engineering. Now, you are an associate professor of civil engineering, and definitely before you became an associate professor, you have learned a lot about civil engineering. Now, compare and contrast your days as an undergraduate in the university learning civil engineering, and now that you are teaching them. What is the difference between what you were taught and what you are teaching?
There's a bit of, there's a large gap in between the two. Well, I could remember as a student, when you talk about designing, okay, it's the major path of structures. To design a building, because you have to pick the structural elements. You pick a beam, one after the other, you load it, you analyze it, you design it. You pick another one, you load it, you analyze it. That's just a beam. Then you talk about the slab. You also do that same procedure, analyze and design and detail. You go on to column, you do the same thing before you go to foundation, then the roof structures. But today, we have software packages that can do all that for you within a second. Once you have the architectural design, and then you can just upload on a software package, you model it, and then just run it. So in a bit of seconds, you have everything, including the detailing. Am I communicating? Yeah. So in that wise, you are talking about a huge amount of time being saved compared to what we do in those days. So you have to, because in those days, computer is not, very common. You hardly see it. It's usually packaged in one corner. So most of the things we do is manual, and then using the handheld calculator. You know the limitation of that. But with the advent of super fast computers, you can run analysis under microseconds and get results. And now the beauty of it is that you now have several software that are being developed, improving one over the other. So a major difference is the application of computer to what we used to do. Even in drafting, in those days, after you design, you pass it to a draftsman who will have to translate your design into drawings. But now you have cards, computer-aided drawings that could easily, you can easily do a fantastic work with that. So it's a really major difference when you talk about the aspects of inclusion of computer into our operations. When you compare to our own days when we use longhand, manuals, and all that.
Okay, before we go, I'd like to say that this is still engineering and you, and our topic for today is 21st century civil engineering. So you can ask your questions, the phone lines are on your screen. You can drop your messages on Facebook, as we have said earlier on, as we engage my guest on this show, Engineer Dr. ABDULWASI AJAGBE. Now, I want to ask him, management skill, does it have any impact in the 21st century civil engineer?
It does a lot, because civil engineering, it deals a lot with construction, whereby you bring man, material, money, machines together. So somebody has to manage them. You need to manage these resources to get the desired result within a particular time. And when you talk about money, you talk about time factor, then delivering the project, you are basically talking about management. So, and then with the level of sophistication that we have in action, is based in they call it engineering management. So civil, all engineering students, irrespective of their option, must do that course. It's engineering management in 500 level. It's and it's compulsory. They have to do it. So that's more or less a taste of that. But before that, now engineering curriculum is not just a classroom thing. You have some aspects of industrial exposures. So even right there, you have some companies that give the students a challenge of management. At their own age, they take them to site and you monitor this. Even as a student, I remember doing something like that. When my guy took me to the site and said, okay, I will leave you here. I'm going somewhere else. So ensure that this bag of cement is mixed with this bag of sand. So I will have to relay with the people and watch the material they are doing so that I can get the desired strength of concrete. So right from there, right from very, tender experience.
Okay, we have a call. Zainab, from Kaduna. Zainab, how are you doing? Good evening. Hello, Zainab, can you hear us? I guess we lost Zainab there. Okay, you can continue.
So right from that, you start exposing them to some elements of management. And also, personally, as my own model of teaching as a lecturer, I ensure that, intentionally package that as part of their training, grouping them, allowing them to take tasks together, joint work, making somebody the head to coordinate others and all that. So it's a deliberate intention to really allow them to go through different stages of management, so that by the time they graduate, it won't be totally new to them to get themselves in the managerial position.
Okay, as a pattern shot from you, what is the prospect in civil? Okay. Hello, Salah. Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, do you have any question for our guests? Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Can you hear us? Do you have any question for our guests? Our time is running.
I want to greet my lecturer. It's one of my lecturers, Dr. ABDULWASI OLABAMIJI. I want to greet him.
Okay, all right.
Thank you very much.
For my lecturers. I want to greet him.
All right.
You're welcome.
He's answering you. Thank you so much
Thank you
for calling. Now, I want to ask, is there any prospects in civil engineering? And two, if you want to study civil engineering, what are the course selection as a secondary school student that you must have?
Well, there will forever be the need prospects for civil engineering, because man will continue to need shelter, will continue to move from one place to the other, will continue to need water, will continue to need all the products of civil engineering. So as a secondary school student, the basic sciences, mathematics, the VChem Bao, and further maths can be of assistance, technical drawing can also be of assistance. Then the JAM course, you have physics, chemistry, mathematics, and English. These are the basic JAM courses that they have to do to study civil engineering.
All right, physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics, and further maths can be of advantage. On these notes, we'll be drawing the curtain, but before we go, you know that we have to continue this conversation on our various social media handles. So our question for the week is what is the another name for the law of inertia? The another name for the law of inertia. So let us know by sending your message on Facebook at Ogtv and YouTube, and let the conversation continue. My name is Tunde Olaniro. Our time is up. We have to go. Until next week, when we come with you to your viewing pleasure with another guest to educate you on what engineering is all about. My name is Tunde Olaniro, and I'm saying